Okay, in this video, I would like to give a brief introduction to Excel, as it will be the main tool we're using to make calculations in the context of statistics. So, Excel is a two-dimensional spreadsheet platform where each one of these little blocks, each one of these little rectangles is called a cell. So, we're able to enter data into each one of the cells. Now, just like the XY plane in like a graph in an algebra class, this cell is the location of the cell is given by two numbers. So, for example, the yellow highlighted cell to the right, this is cell J7 because it's in column J and row 7. All right, so we could reference the location of a cell or a location of the place where we will type in a value by two pieces of information, the column and the row. So column first, row second. Column is the letter, row is the number. So this is location J7, meaning column J, row 7. Now, we're going to be using Excel because of two of its very, very important fundamental capabilities, and that's repetitive calculations and pattern recognition. Because in statistics, when we're applying a lot of these formulas for statistics, we're applying the same calculation over and over and over for every individual value in a data set. So let's start with an example. So let's say in cell M15, let's type the number 5. So M15 is right here. So you can see the M is highlighted and the 15 is highlighted. So that's cell M15. So let's type the number 5. All right, so now Excel knows the number in location M15 is the number 5. All right, so let's next to it in N15, let's say this is equal to the number to the left in M15 times 2. And this is really the most important aspect of Excel that you really, really have to get in order to apply it to statistics, is that we're not doing calculations on numbers. We're doing calculations on the locations of numbers. So in N15, if I type in here, this cell should be equal to 2 times the number to the left. So I'll say equal to, anytime you want Excel to do a calculation, you have to start with an equal sign. That's across the board. You have to start with an equal sign. So let's say N15 is equal to 2 times, and that's shift 8, or the asterisk is the symbol for multiplication, 2 times cell M15. M15. So we're not saying 2 times 5. We're saying 2 times the number to the left. So right now, it's 2 times 5, which is 10. Now, if we change the number 5 to anything else, since this cell to the right, N15, is not defined as 2 times 5, it's defined as 2 times the number to the left. If I change the number to the left, it should change the 10. So if I change that 5 to, let's say, a 7, automatically updates our calculation. And that is how we're going to use Excel. Now, when we're doing calculations, really one of the most powerful functions of Excel is that the number of values doesn't matter in terms of how long it takes to do our calculations. And most of what we're going to do is going to be applying formulas that applying functions that are built in to Excel. And so those functions are going to look like, and so like I say down here, there's three components. When you're doing a calculation, other than a basic like plus, minus, times, divide calculation, it takes the form of an equal sign, then the name of the function, name of the function, and then in parentheses, the location of the data. Location of data. So, for example, as I'm looking at number 2 down here, let's type the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into cells M 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29. So here's M25. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And so what our functions will look like will be something similar to this. So let's say, let's add these 5 numbers up. And so the function for addition in Excel is sum, S-U-M. So if we type equal sum, that's what we want to do. And then in parentheses, we could either type in the location of the data or highlight the data. So what we're doing here is taking the sum, or adding up, all the values that are given in cells M25 through M29. And when you hit enter, you get 15. And the benefit of defining these formulas based on the location of, not the actual numbers, but the location of the numbers. Now let me highlight this cell. The benefit is if you change your data, Excel automatically updates your calculations. So if I change this 3 to a 10 and hit enter, well, the 15 becomes a 22, because it's not dependent on the numbers involved. It's dependent on the locations of where those numbers are. All right, and that's a really, really fundamental aspect of Excel that's important to grasp before we start using Excel for statistics. So another example of a function which will apply a little bit later in this video is the average function. If you want to take the average, let's say the numbers in locations A1 through A20, this is what it would look like. All right. And then one more example, just to emphasize the efficiency in which Excel does things. Let's say we could add up the numbers 1 through 5 below. Now there's 2 ways we could do this. There's the inefficient method to say equal 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 equals. So we could use Excel as a calculator. Or we could simply say equal the sum of these 5 numbers. Okay, so we're going to be using the function, like the function notation on Excel whenever possible. Now, so this particular Excel file is 1 page on the existing file. So if you look down here where it says notes, sheet 2, sheet 3, so each one of these sheets is a separate page in Excel, in this particular Excel file. So let's go here to sheet 2. So it's a whole new Excel page that's part of this particular file. So we have 3 problems here. Add up all the numbers from 1 to 100. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, all the way up to plus 100. So to add up the numbers from 1 to 100, we need the numbers 1 through 100 in Excel. And like I said, one of the 2 main reasons we're using Excel is for pattern recognition. So if I'm to type the number 1 and then the number 2. So 1, 2. If I want Excel to continue this pattern, what I could do is highlight the 2 numbers that I typed in. So that's like the beginning of the pattern. And see this little tiny box on the bottom right side? If you move the cursor over that little box, the little white plus sign will turn to a black plus sign. And what that means is continue the pattern. So if we click and drag, Excel will continue the pattern that I've already started. So if we want to add up the numbers from 1 to 100, we could drag this all the way down to the 100th row. Ooh, that's too far. Let's go back to the 100th row. All right, and now without actually typing them in, so now we have the numbers 1 through 100 in Excel. So question 1, add them up. So we want to add up all the numbers that are right now listed in location A1 through A100. So we'll type in equal, so that way Excel knows that we're applying a calculation, equal sum of A1 through, so the colon means through, A1 through A100. And we get 5,050. So that's the first 100 numbers added up. All right. So in problem number 2, add the first 50 multiples of 11. So 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, so on and so on and so on. We want 50 of those multiples of 11. So again, we could use Excel to input these numbers using pattern recognition. So if I start with 11, 22, and then move the cursor to the little box on the bottom right corner and drag it down, you'll see, let's go to row 50. Now you'll see multiples of 11. So all you have to do is start the pattern and Excel will continue that pattern for you. And so for number 2, which I'll put right here next to number 2, is the sum of the first 50 multiples of 11. So equal the name of the function, which is sum, S-U-M. And now we're looking at data that's in location B1 through B50. So that's telling Excel that in this location, D2, to equal the sum of all the numbers, all the data in location B1 through B50. And then number 3, let's divide these 2 numbers. Divide the answer from number 1 by the answer from number 2. And so on your keyboard, the backslash is the division. So we could say equal to, I'm not going to type in 5,050 and I'm not going to type in 14,025. I'm going to say I want this to equal this number in location D1 divided by location D2. Okay, that says round to 3 decimal places. Well, it's already rounded to 3 decimal places. So if we needed to round to, let's say, 5 decimal places, we could use this icon up here in the tool palette. So these 2, the 3 zeros with the arrow, this changes the number of decimal places that we round to. So if we click on the number we want to round, we could round to less places, we could round to more places. So that's the rounding feature in Excel. All right, and I have one more tab here. So at the bottom, you'll see sheet 3. So if I click on sheet 3, all right, so I just have 20 random numbers, 20 random 2-digit numbers in column A. So one thing that is going to come up relatively often is to put a data set in numerical order. So number one, reorder the numbers in column A from smallest to largest. So the way we do this on Excel, if I click on the A for column A, that selects all of column A. Now this icon up here where it says sort and filter. Sort and filter. If you click on that, we have a bunch of options here, and the first one is sort smallest to largest. So when I click on that, whatever I've highlighted, Excel will reorder in terms of smallest to largest. So now you can see the smallest number 14 is on top, the largest number 95 is on the bottom. All right, so let's add up the numbers in column A. So right here in this yellow cell, let's say I want the answer right here. Let's say this is equal to, well, adding them up, as we talked about, the function is sum, S-U-M. And you could type in A1 colon A20, or you could just highlight the data that you want added up. All right, so 972. Now, number 3, find the average of those numbers in column A. Well, think about how do you find the average of 20 numbers? You have to add them up and divide by 20. But we have a built-in function on Excel for average. So what we could do is say equal average parentheses our data. And that's it. So if you think about, if you were to find the average of these 20 numbers on a calculator, well, it's 20 2-digit numbers, so that's 40 keystrokes. And so you have to do 14 plus 15 plus 18 plus 20 plus 20 plus 19 plus 20, so on. So we're up to about 60 keystrokes, and equal divide by 20. So it's over 60 keystrokes just to add up these 20 numbers and divide by 20. So Excel does it much, much quicker. All right, number 4, square each number in column A and list them in column B. All right, so we want to take each number in column A and square it, or raise it to the second power. So we could say equal caret, that's the exponent, equal 14 to the power of 2. That will square the 14. But if we do that, the problem is then we have to type manually equal 15 to the second power, equal 18 to the second power, equal 19 to the second power, and so on. I'm going to delete that. So like I said, Excel does calculations on the location of the number, not the number itself. So instead of saying equal 14 to the second power, I'm going to say equal the number to the left to the second power. So equal, not 14, but location A1 raised to the second power. So what that is telling Excel to do is to, in column B, to take the number to the left in column A and raise it to the second power. And I get the same 196. The benefit of doing this is that once you type in a formula for Excel to apply once, you can copy it down and Excel will do it automatically for the next 19 numbers or the next however many numbers are on your list. All right, so again, we go to the bottom right-hand corner of the cell where that little green box is, and we put the mouse over that green box. The white plus becomes a black plus. So if you click and drag, Excel continues what you've done. The calculation you've done once, Excel does it the other 19 times for you. So 15 squared is 225, 18 squared is 324, and so on. All right, so that's the square of each number in column A. And if we wanted to, for number 5, add up those squared numbers, we'd say equal the name of the function, which is sum, and we could add up these numbers. So now next, add each number with its square. So 14 plus 14 squared, and then 15 plus 15 squared, and then 18 plus 18 squared, and so on. So add each number with its square and list them in column C. Well, that's the same calculation repeated 20 times. So if we do it once, we could say equal the number in location A1 times, so that's shift 8, the asterisk is the symbol for multiplication on the keyboard, times the number in B1. So that's a number times its square. So now Excel is saying, oh, it's going to equal the number in A1, the 14, times the number in B1, which is the 196. And so 14 times 196 is 2,744. And we need to do the same exact thing 19 more times. So since we've done it once in Excel with the locations of the numbers, if we drag it down, you'll see the next 19 iterations of that calculation done for you. And the benefit of doing this is if you change the original data, you change all the calculations that are applied to that original data. So let's say, change the number in cell A5 to 11. So right now, A5 is 20. So if I change that 20 to an 11, Excel will automatically update any calculations that refer back to the cell A5. So if I change, so if you look at our answers here in column D, if I change that 20 to an 11, once I hit enter, yep, those numbers were automatically updated to reflect an 11 instead of a 20. Okay? All right, so that's about it for this initial introduction to Excel. We're going to be using Excel a lot moving forward, and anything we have to do in the class, I'm going to always show you first on Excel. So I think it's a very, very important and very useful tool. It has a lot of practical applications. And so we're going to be using primarily numbers. But, you know, for example, today is what? Today is the 29th of May. So let's say I do 5/29 in Excel. I think we'll automatically turn that into a date. Okay, the 29th of May, 5/30. All right, so I've started a pattern on Excel. So if you click and drag, Excel continues that for you. So if you want to make a budget for yourself, if you have to do your own taxes, if you're an independent contractor, whatever it is, if you want to keep track of anything, Excel's a great way to easily do that. It works for days of the week. So let's say Monday, Tuesday. So if we start with that, you see Excel does the days of the week. Oh, maybe that should be TUE for Tuesday. So let's replace that. Yeah, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday, Tuesday, and so on. So Excel will, whatever pattern you start, if it's recognizable, Excel can quickly and easily continue the pattern for you. So we've saw both of the two very important aspects of Excel that we're going to be using. repetitive calculations, which we saw over here, and pattern recognition. Okay? All right, that about does it for this first intro to Excel.